Welcome, everybody, to the Lending Report for May 23rd, 2025. Don't have a lot to present to you this week. Quiet week news-wise, I suppose you could say, as it relates to mortgage rates, but I'll show you the activity in the MBS charts shortly. We'll start with mortgage applications. Purchases and refinances down 5% in terms of activity for week over week in the comparison weeks. Initial jobless claims, those filing for the first time, down 2,000, but continuing claims up 36,000. Now, biggest thing probably this week that we need to take into consideration is that a new big, beautiful bill was signed into office, which is likely going to increase government spending. And what we have quickly approaching in August is the X date. And the X date is essentially that date where the Treasury Department can no longer fund the government and pay the debts that we have outstanding. So this big, beautiful bill that we have will contribute to what needs to be paid, aggressively spending, and how we are going to resolve that. If you remember in 2023, as we approached that date, Fitch downgraded our credit rating at that point. Bonds did not respond favorably. Now we've had a downgrade in our credit rating by Moody. And as we start to approach this X date, how we compensate, and maybe if we increase the debt ceiling to compensate for the fact that we can't pay all those debts at this point, this is going to have an impact most likely on the MBS markets. So this could be deja vu in what we saw in 2003 with interest rates, 2023, with interest rates going up to a somewhat uncomfortable level. I mean, we did at one point hit 8% in interest rates. So it is conceivable that towards the third or fourth quarter of this year, we may see interest rates go up because the Feds have not signaled that they're going to do anything differently at this point as it relates to the short-term interest rates and the Fed rate. They're holding steady based on what the inflation numbers are showing. So be prepared that potentially it could be a rocky road, a little bit of a speed bump coming up in the latter part of this year. So if you are interested in buying, I do encourage you to do that now. To be honest, take advantage of the credit or the interest rates where they are now. One other thing of note that was reported this week is China is no longer the largest holder of U.S. treasuries. In fact, they're letting their treasuries come to fruition and let them fall off their books. So they're now the third largest holder of U.S. treasuries, and they show no signs of buying anymore. They are not investing in the U.S. treasuries. So just something to point out there. Let's take a look at the MBS markets this week. You look towards the right end of this chart. You can see we did have some rather large swings in the last 2 weeks. We lost ground, we made ground, we lost ground, and we're trying to make up ground again. Have not recovered yet at this point. A lot of uncertainty in this market, not surprising with everything that's going on. And in fact, President Trump now telling Apple that they need to make sure that their phones are made in the U.S. or else they will impose tariffs on Apple. So this is what we're dealing with right now. It just creates the uncertainty that we're seeing in the market. I do contend that the interest rates are still good. There are still opportunities out there to be had with seller concessions to either do buy down programs, permanent or temporary. People are getting seller concessions. I have a closing on Friday of next week where that borrower got $12,000 in seller concessions. So able to get the interest rate to the 5.99% for that borrower. So you can get in with good rates, but you need to do it now. So reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd love to hear your comments or opinions about what's going on these days. What are your thoughts? Otherwise, have a beautiful weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Well, I guess you don't say Happy Memorial Day. It does commemorate those we have lost. So to those that did serve and lost in the line of duty, thoughts go out to you and your families that miss you during this weekend and every day beyond just this weekend that recognizes you. So have a great weekend, everybody. See you next week.